Last week, we talked about the amazing parallel storytelling. But more importantly is the fact that I was hoping they would drop a slice-of-life character-focused episode, and they actually delivered. This episode was fun, yet engaging with the parallel Neiru storyline that didn't feel intrusive. It was also a great way to get her characterization since we know about everyone else. But most importantly, this is also the first time we get to see her fighting, and that's one of the things I want to talk about for this episode. With the entire squad in full force, characterization, short backstories, and motivations are being gifted out left and right. We're now acquainted with the cast. Of course, more details would be nice, but I have full faith that will be explored in the future. Characterization, however, isn't the only thing this series is touting. It's also an action show. Fighting is a big part of Wonder Egg, with the conceit of each dream being a battle against a wonder killer. In the dream world, the girls manifest a weapon using an object, transforming it with their imagination. There's an argument to be made that to defeat the wonder killers is to make amends with the people they're saving, as many of the kills have been achieved through the help of those residing in the eggs. There's a great deal of metaphorical importance to having the girls defeat the wonder killers, only after getting permission or recognition from them. It makes the fights meaningful, as these dreams force the victims to relive and overcome their past. The girls are helping facilitate this growth, but they themselves can't defeat the trauma. It's not theirs after all. Of course, that's my interpretation, and there are many ways to interpret, but what I want to focus on today is something more concrete: their weapons. If there's a cool magic system in an action show, then I'm all down for it. For example, Ruby, although very confusing at times, has extremely exciting fight sequences that stem from the way their system works. The main part that I enjoy is the choice of weaponry, which is basically the substitute magic system. Almost every character of Ruby is sporting a bloodborne trick weapon. Ruby has a scythe gun, Yang has gauntlet guns, Sun has nunchuck guns, and the fact that the characters can switch styles makes every fight exciting. The freedom to do what they want is dynamic and unrestricted, since characters adopt and utilize the tools they have. More importantly, the weapon choices match the character personalities. Ruby is quick and lethal, and so her weapon is a perfect complement, being able to utilize momentum to strike and then keep them at bay. For Wonder Egg, I feel a similar type of freedom in how the girls fight, which makes the action feel dynamic and meaningful. And now that we have the entire cast, we can talk about each of their weapons and fighting styles. Ai's weapon is a multicolored pen that transforms into a mace. Narratively, it fits with the location of Ai's dream, as her trauma, including the trauma of those she saves, are school-based, and an iconic object you'd find at school would be a pen. In terms of her personality, I read Ai as bubbly. Despite being a shut-in, she's more confident and excitable than she thinks. But despite how energetic she can be, she's still a shut-in, which means she doesn't get much exercise, nor is athletic, constantly getting thrashed in about every fight. That's why a heavy, slower weapon, like the pen mace, is perfect, since it can utilize heavy strikes to demolish her opponents using all her energy at once. Of course, most of her wins have been using more than one weapon, but her kill move has always been the pen mace and its sheer blunt force. Being blunt is also something I find Ai being, not blunt in a rude way, but honest and genuine. We see this with her first interaction with Momoe, as Ai answers her question up front and even struggles on finding the right answer. Even Ai breaking into Rika's comfort zone was her way of being blunt and forceful, which is appropriate for someone who uses a weapon that is straightforward and packs a punch. Rika's weapons are a pair of box cutters, which she dual wields as swords. It comes to no surprise that Rika is agile and fast, considering she spent her youth as a junior idol, making her go through dance practice and improving stamina. This allows Rika to be reckless and sustain longer fights. Her personality is aggressive and brazen, with no qualms speaking her mind. More on this is explored in the episode 3 analysis, and this complements the dual wield style beautifully, as her weapons encourage an all-out and flashy approach, which is very Rika. The significance of box cutters also relates to her self-harm that is hinted at, and not so much the location of her dreams. Just the fact that Rika is carrying box cutters, or that the self-harm meant so much that she is able to manifest it as a weapon to fight back, is something emotionally powerful and potent, so even more significance there. Momoe's weapon is a parasol. I think it's really ambiguous, but I think it's close enough. Momoe wields it like a rapier. We don't know what Momoe was like in school, if she's in any clubs, or how she is physically, but my hard read is she's athletic, because she do be wielding that parasol like a pro. In terms of how much it relates to anything, I don't think it does. I'm not sure what a parasol has to do with Momoe. From what we know of her, maybe it's the idea of hiding something, because she does use the umbrella side in her fight, which kind of relates to her being confused for the opposite gender. I think that is as much a narrative connection I can muster, because a train station has no real significance for a parasol, and we really don't have too much background on Momoe yet. But I think a long-ranged weapon with high agility and skill is appropriate. After all, she's tall and elegant, and a long and skillful weapon is fitting in that regard. She, as a person, is also very kind, and handles her dream encounters very warmly, as we can see her comforting the victims and being personable. In a way, she handles those situations with finesse and skill, and so her fighting style reflects that. Finally, we have Neiru, the star of the episode, and her hype weapon reveal, which was very Ruby-esque. As an object, it's a compass, which I'll just get out of the way to say has no relationship to the bridge, but I can see Neiru, who's probably smarter than every other girl in the show, have a compass for math purposes. Why not? Now, the reason why I love Neiru's weapon the most is because it transforms from an assault rifle to a sniper to a greatsword. The choice to have Neiru be this stylish makes sense, considering how I don't think she's overtly athletic, despite demolishing that jump, or would be high octane energy, and so she wouldn't be a close range fighter. But she does seem very capable in her own right. She kind of owns a company, and especially being so young, I would suspect she had to adjust to take on this role. And so, wielding an adaptable weapon for someone whose hallmark is adapting makes sense. Not to mention how she's adapting from her previous secluded lifestyle to now having friends thanks to Ai, and is even finding it fun, which is hinted at during the scene where she talks to Momoe in the arcade, and when she's the one shown holding the pictures. This week's episode was something I hoped they would do eventually, and I'm glad it was done so well. It was a slice of life paced week, but it didn't feel like it, as they bundled it with action and characterization, progressing the plot and development while giving us time for introspection. Showing off Neiru's weapon was badass, and I'm glad that it was the way it is. It just somehow fit her so well when I first saw it, and I had to think about everyone else's weapon choices and how it all came together. I'm not sure what direction we're going to move forward, but I do think we might do the classic formulaic structure to develop everyone's plot and then have a few episodes with the whole gang. This show is just full of surprises anyway, and its unpredictability is definitely making this show that much more engaging.